Good morning. So, those who are online, if you have any problem in audio or video, let me know. All right. So, the today's session is about the a specific compiler. So far, we have discussed in general, and we also discussed about real-time systems, application-specific systems. But now we will focus on the hardware which we are using. Once we are comfortable, we are fully confident about one hardware, one CPU, then we will change the CPU and we change the compiler. Or without changing the CPU also, we can change the compiler. Like same CPU, we can use for Python program. So we'll switch to Python program. But before that, we should know complete all ins and outs of the CPU as well as the language. Both we should have fully confident on one system. Then other compiler, other CPU doesn't take much time. It's just only a comparison. So last week we have discussed about uh, what is compiler and if a compiler if a compiler compiles the program, what happens, right? Since we have always compared with the desktop systems, computers, and in computer we have seen that it is a specific architecture, Intel as a architecture, and operating system also more or less everybody is using Windows or Linux, so there is no much choice. So the output file, the way it creates in computer, the way it executes, is traditionally known for several years because that is a standard system. In our case, in single board computer, we are talking about a target specific system. And finally, what it creates is a hexa file, a binary file, which we are supposed to transfer from the computer to the CPU. That we will be doing today. We will be writing the programs on the computer, but however, we will be transferring our programs from the computer to the target device, and then we'll test it. And we also discussed about how the memory is organized. Whenever you use any compiler, whenever you write any high-level language or low-level program, a program consists of sections. So that's what is last week we have discussed about code section, data segment, stack section, interrupt vector section, and so on. So that's what we have discussed about how the program is having various sections. So that's about the last week. So today we will discuss about a specific compiler. All right, so we are today practicing one compiler. Though we would like to use other compilers, hardcore compilers, but then since most of you are first-time users, so let us start with a simple compiler, which is easy to understand. Easy to understand in the sense it hides so many things, right? Even user is not aware that actually how things are happens. But if we use some hardcore compilers, there It has a lot of flexibility is there, but at the same time, user also has to understand about configuration of your compiler. Then only you can write the programs. But here, that is not the case. So we're using Arduino as a compiler. When we are using Arduino as a compiler, actually, the syntax is same. Since you already started using C compiler, so whatever is the rules are there for writing the programs for C compiler, even here also, the rules are same. So Arduino is based on C compiler only. So when we write the program, whenever we create a project here, the project is called sketch in Arduino compiler. When we create a project, and the sketch creates two loops, void setup and void loop, right? Two functions it creates by default. So whatever you write in setup, okay, it is executed only once. Please remember, every compiler, whatever we are talking, sequential in nature. Sequential nature means first line will be executed first, second line will be executed second, in the same order. There is nothing like parallelism, simultaneity here. Everything is sequential in nature. However, we would like to execute our program simultaneously. We will use some peripherals and timers and we will do it simultaneously, that we will see later on. But otherwise, the programs are executed sequential, one line at a time, isn't it? So when you write your code in the setup and loop, first by default, it executes the setup first, and there whatever you have written is executed only once, then it comes to the loop. So what we are doing is, by using Arduino compiler, first is we use the editor. Arduino as an editor we type our programs, we save it. But there is a compile and upload. Compile means it will verify only syntax errors. Upload means it will transfer the code from the computer to the target device, hexa file. Okay. Run means it will actually executing on the target device. Actually, there are some other compilers in future we will see. They also allow you to monitor whatever is happening inside the CPU. Now also we will do that. Some variables we can plot and see what is happening, that we will see even this has. So that is called real-time debugging. So it has the ability to real-time do the debugging options. Okay, so very few commands we will be using, very few commands to begin with, because initially we are interested in the programming skills, not the peripherals. So peripherals we will discuss later on. The few commands are, one is about we already discussed setup and loop. After that, there is a command called pin mode. There is a command called pin mode. Pin mode means on your CPU, any pin, right? You have seen these pins are there. Any pin, if you want to use, every pin, almost every pin is called input output pin. Almost every pin, 99% pins are called input output. So you can configure those pins either input or output. Input means you want to read the data. Output means you want to write the data. So it depends. For example, if you are connecting a LED, then you want to write the data because data is going outside world. But if you are connecting a switch or if you are connecting a sensor, it is input because you want to read the data. So that time you have to say input, and it is case sensitive, right? So there you say whatever, whenever M is a capital letter here, input is capital letter. So you must specify in capital only which pin of your CPU you want to make it input or output. Is that clear? Okay, which pin, that pin number you must mention. Okay, I will tell you on this what is the number of the pin, but that pin number you should mention and say whether it is input or output. Is that clear? This is called configuration. Configuration means a direction of the pin, whether it's output or input. Okay, Where do we put this code? In the setup or loop? Setup, because we execute only once. Configuration is done only once. And then after that, actual data which you want to write, the data which you want to write. Okay. So if it is a LED and if you want to make it high, then you should say high. If the LED, if you want to make it off, then say low. Okay. It's like that, either high or low. But again, which pin number you must specify. Out of so many pins, which pin you want to make it high or low, that you have to specify. Okay. Is that clear? That is out. And exactly opposite is in. In means you are not giving any value, high or low. You want to read it. Which pin you want to read, mention that. Right? Digital read. That means now that particular pin, it will read. And then, but after reading, you want to do something, right? So that's why assign to some variable. You store it inside your CPU, and then you can write some comparison, such kind of conditional statements. What is that value it is, and so on. Okay, is that clear? How to write the data and how to read the data from the pins. Okay. Now what I will do is I'm teaching only this much as far as hardware is concerned. I'm right. Then we will discuss about today is about all about the data types. When we use data types, whatever is the data we defined inside the CPU, we also would like to know what is happening to that particular data. Okay. So, but then since this doesn't have any keyboard or display, how will we know what data is there inside? Whenever we perform any arithmetic or logical operation, what is happening to the data? How will we know? So that means there should be some way of reading or writing. We are using one peripheral called UART, serial interface. So this CPU has a serial interface. Okay. Through this serial interface, what we do is we'll write and read. Both are possible. Through computer we'll write and through computer we'll read through this port. Okay. So this will be act as for us as a printf and scanf. In normal in Turbo C, when you used stdio.h for what purpose? To print the data on your monitor. Scanf is to read the keyboard from the computer's keyboard. Similarly here, but then this is though it is a computer, but this is a single board computer, means no keyboard, no display. So here, what do you mean by print? Print means transfer the data serially. Scan means receive the data through serial. So everything is happening through this cable, serial cable. So this is how we are going to do it. Through serial cable, what we do, we say serial begin first. Begin, serial begin means you start initializing that serial port. When you say that, then it will ask you with what speed you want to transfer the data. So that you should put it in the bracket. That is called baud rate. How many bits per second you want to transfer, you have to specify. That is a speed. So any communication, every communication has a speed, right? The unit is bits per second, right? That's a baud rate. So that you have to specify in the bracket. After that, then what is that you want to transmit, right? That's called serial print. ln means next line, means every time it will put, like in Turbo C, you have a carriage written slash next line. The ln, if you don't put ln, then in the same line it will display. If you put ln, it will display on the next line. And then if you put it in the quotes, then that string will be automatically converted into ASCII value. So either you give ASCII value or put it in the quotes. Then that is how it transmits. Because keyboard and display always deals with the ASCII values. Okay. And if you want to read the keyboard, then serial available and serial read. Serial available means whether data is there or not while reading. And if you want to read it, serial read, then you assign that data to some variable. So serial print is to transmit the data. Serial read means to receive the data. That's all. So today we will be extensively using only this much. Whatever there in the screen, only we will be doing, because we want to work with the mathematics. We want to work with the data types. So when we want to do this, somehow we should be able to enter the data. Somehow we should be able to read the data. So for that purpose, we are using this peripheral of the CPU, which is for us, this is a standard input output. In our case, standard input out means serially transmit, serially receive. In computer, standard input output means your ASCII keyboard and computer monitor is your STDA. But here it is a serially transmit, serially receive. All right. Because see, please remember this peripheral we will be using for Bluetooth also, Wi-Fi also, for so many communication systems. Wireless communication also uses the same port. Okay, all Wi-Fi, IoT applications, anything you the moment when you say communicate, that means serial print and serial read we are going to use. Because this is a headless system. There is no display, there is no keyboard, nothing is there. Then how will we communicate? For example, if I keep this inside your air conditioner, how are you communicating? Through Wi-Fi you are communicating. Means what? Serially you are communicating. So what is stdio.h for your air conditioner? Serially transmit, serially receive. Okay. There is no keyboard and display, right? Even if the keyboard is there, how will you enter the data? You cannot jump and enter the data. So it has to be wireless. Understood? So that's why, please remember, in computer, stdio.h means only ASCII keyboard and monitor. However, other than computer, there is no guarantee that what is stdio.h, because we don't use that such a big keyboard and display in all our products. In embedded systems, IoT applications, any system doesn't use such kind of a monitor and keyboard. So stdio.h is different for different compilers. That's why you should be careful that when you are using a specific compiler, please verify what is stdio.h for that particular compiler. Is that clear? Okay, so that's all about peripherals. I'm not touching the remaining peripherals.
Sir, what did you tell about the availability, serial not
Availability means, see, availability means readiness, ready to transmit or ready to receive. Because finally it is a serial communication. When it is a serial, the difference between parallel communication and serial communication is, parallel communication means when you write, it's already transmitted. When you read, you already received. But in serial communication, there is no guarantee that whatever you are transmitting is transmitted, whatever is received is received. There is no guarantee. Why there is no guarantee? Because it is serial. For example, I want to write 8-bit data, right? 8-bit data, you know how much time it takes to transmit? How much time? 8 clock cycles. Because 1 bit at a time it will put, right? Serial means what? Yeah, understood what is serial? Serial means right. Say for example, if it is a parallel, all the data let's say D0 to D7 in one clock. The moment if you say transmit, then entire data is transmitted between transmitter and receiver. Okay. But when I'm saying serial, what are the serial communications in your day-to-day life you see? Your USB is serial, your Wi-Fi is serial, your LAN is serial, your set-top box, your satellite is serial, your fiber optic is serial. You name any communication in this world, almost 99%, all of them are serial. Your TV remote, your AC remote, all are serial. Parallel is there only inside the computer, on the motherboard, or inside the CPU. Okay, nowadays even the hard disk is not parallel. Hard disk is also serial when you communicate with your motherboard, the SATA and all. So what is serial? Serial means between the transmitter and receiver. If I want to transmit the data, how the data will be transmitted? In serial form, D0 to D7. Means what? Here, for example, 8-bit data is there. How many wires are required to connect between transmitter and receiver? 8 wires are there. In serial communication, how many wires are required to connect between transmitter and receiver? Only one wire. That's why your USB is so thin. Though you are sending, God knows, 32-bit data, 64-bit, jo bhi hai, whatever you are sending. But there is only one wire. One is VCC, other is ground, and data line, D plus D minus, differential data. Only one line. Through one wire, you are sending whatever the data you want. But however, in parallel means if you want to send 8-bit data, then you require 8 wires. 16-bit data, 16 wires. Earlier in 1970s, if you want to connect one computer to the printer, the cable thickness used to be in so thick because 8 means 8 wires, 16 means 16 wires. We used to connect it like that. But today it's obsolete. Everything is serial. Everything is serial. Your satellite communication is serial. Fiber optic is serial. You name any communication, it is serial. Okay, understood. So now here, advantage is that irrespective of the size of the data, whether it is a 8-bit or 16-bit or 32-bit, you require only one line. You require only one line. That's the advantage. Otherwise, the whole world will be filled with the wires only. For example, in this computer, 20 computers are there. Imagine if I want to connect one computer to other computer, how many wires are required? Almost impossible. So that's why nobody uses parallel. But we know parallel is fast. Why fast? All 8 bits are transmitted in one clock cycle. But here 8 bits are transmitted in how many clock cycles? 8 clock cycles. Because in every clock cycle, one bit will be transmitted. Only one bit. Now if I want to transmit 16-bit data, 16 clock cycles. 32-bit data, 32 clock cycles. As your number of bits increases, multiplied by those many clock cycles. That is called baud rate. Okay, so whatever we are specifying in that bracket, right? Serial begin in that bracket, whatever you are saying, 9,600, for example. That means 9,600 bits per second you want to transmit. That's the speed. That's a speed unit. Baud rate is a unit. So this is this. Understood? Why serial communication takes some time. So that's why availability. Availability means we are not sure whether it has transmitted or not, whether we are not sure it is received or not. So we have to wait for some time. So that's why we say read, serial read, and see, check whether it's available or not. Because once you write, immediately it won't transmit. It takes some time. How much time? 8-bit takes 8 clock cycles, 16. Not only that, with what speed? This speed. If you decrease, even it will be slow. If you increase, it is slightly better, faster. But it takes some time. That's why we sometimes verify serial is available or not. Understood? Why we say, see, while loop, see, you send something, but then you say while serial is available. Is there any data waiting? Means is there any data is there inside the buffer to read? So conditional statement, serial available is one or not. Okay. Any questions? Understood? So serial read, serial print, serial available. These are the 3 commands meant for serial communication. And this is the speed. With this speed, we transmit or receive the data. That's all. So just remember this slide. Only this much program we will be writing, we will be using today for all at least 2-3 hours. But what we are interested in today is about data types. we want to practice the data types. So what is the importance of data types? Data types is actually, in mathematics, math subject, first year if you are studying some subject, you study data types like say hexa, BCD, binary, octal, uh, and so on, right? Decimal, uh, integers, floating point, signed, unsigned integers, signed floating, unsigned floating, and so on, right? You understand all these data types. But I am saying we are talking about the data types where a CPU understands, right? Inside the CPU, which data types are there? These are two different things, please remember. What your mathematics textbook speaks about data types is different. What we use in computer is different. Not necessarily everything is supported. Okay. There is a problem here. The problem is in 1970s, multiplication and division was not possible in the computer. Computer CPUs were unable to perform. CPU, I'm talking. CPU doesn't have multiplication and division. Right? In first year in digital electronics, you have a last chapter called 8085 CPU. When you study 8085 CPU, you realize that it doesn't have multiplication and division instructions. So it means that implementing multiplication and division inside the CPU is impossible in 1970s. That's a challenge. Floating point arithmetic operations was not possible another 15-20 years. Okay, floating point was possible only after 486 CPU. So that means 8086 doesn't have, 186 doesn't have, 286 doesn't have, 386 doesn't have. Only when 486 was introduced, that time only floating point was possible. It was that challenge to implement a floating point. So the importance of today's topic, why I am talking about data types, is because we are not talking about a mathematics subject point of view. We are talking as a computer perspective, whether my CPU has that data type or not. Okay, I need to understand first. Second, which compiler I am using. The compiler which you are using in computer, right? You are using C, C++, Java, Python, like that. Compiler is also having data types. Okay, so compiler data types are different. Controller data types are different. Okay, for example, 8085 CPU is 8-bit CPU. 8086 CPU, 16-bit CPU. Okay. So when we were using 8085 CPU, does it mean that we cannot have a 16-bit number? Can I not perform 16-bit addition, 16-bit subtraction? Or when I have a 16-bit CPU, is it that I cannot do 32-bit addition or subtraction? Today you have a 64-bit CPU in your computer. Is it that I cannot do it 128-bit addition or subtraction? Isn't it? Do you understand? So CPU, what it supports, has its own limitation. Today you have 64-bit CPU. It can perform only 64-bit addition or subtraction. That's okay. But it doesn't mean that I cannot do it 128-bit or something else, 256-bit. You can do that. How? Because your compiler is supporting, not the controller. So in 1970s, when CPU was doing only addition and subtraction, not multiplication, even then we were doing multiplication and division. How? Because I'm writing a huge code for that. So how will I perform multiplication? By using addition. How will I perform division? By using subtraction. Multiple subtractions, multiple division, multiple additions, I can do, right? What does it mean? It means if the CPU has the ability, it will do it in one instruction. In one instruction, it will do it. If that is not there, then I will write a huge code. Today, for example, inside the CPU, floating point numbers are not there. Does it mean that I cannot write floating point? I can do that. I'm doing that. I'm already defining in my compiler. So just remember, since the purpose of this programming language, why we are practicing, is not just for a no simple programs. I expect eventually will come up with complicated algorithms, or maybe in your second year, third year, some artificial intelligence, machine learning sort of a mathematics you should implement inside the device. That's the demand. That's where the demand. Implementing such a high-end algorithms in the computer, anybody can do that. Because in computer, you have a hard disk, you have a memory, you have a cloud. So the all fancy expressions you write, you are least bothered it will execute or not, because that virtuality is there. But here it is a challenge. So today, that's why I'm asking you, you practice as much as possible and see what happens when you implement the mathematical expressions inside the CPU. What happens to those equations? What happens to those numbers? That's why I started 2 weeks back. I said I posted one that PPT, IIT Bombay, some engineering problems. There, those equations, if you implement, then you will realize, right? Again, I will explain in some other lecture, not today, that what is the challenge? Why it is so important? You have seen that today, when you are having a lot of equipment in the market, like let's say biomedical equipment. Today, can you give me guarantee that if you test your blood, right? If your blood sample, if it is tested, can you give me guarantee that it will verify 100% virus? Is it? Can you give a guarantee? There is no guarantee. Can you give me guarantee that there are, I don't know how many types of cancer diseases are there, but can you give me guarantee that by testing the blood sample it will verify cancer is there or not? Imagine, almost computerization is done 70, 80 years. Even today we are unable to detect a lot of diseases which we still know trial and error, or maybe sometimes second stage, third stage they are detected. Pura hone ke baad. This is a problem. So that means the accuracy, the resolution, the sensitivity, the kind of data analysis we are still doing, is still there is a percentage of error. Agree or not? So these are two different things, please remember. One is performance, right? Second is accuracy. These are two different things. These are two different things. Performance means what? How quickly I can do the things, right? With a less power, I want to do the things. When you are buying a mobile phone, why mobile phone is so expensive? Because it's a battery operated system. It is a lightweight system. Understand? It's such a thin system, but still it is equivalent to a supercomputer. It's not hot. Though it's doing a lot of computation, it's not hot. But look at your computer. Some weight is there, some few, 1 kg, 2 kg weight is there. It's a larger system. Lot of heat it is dissipating. So that's why this is expensive, not that. Because here you have manufacturing a mobile phone with such a lithium-ion battery, few micro milliamperes of current, is much, much more challenging than designing a computer. And that too, it is not hot. It's not dissipating huge amount of heat. Okay. So that is the meaning of performance. Means I want to do so many things, but at the same time, the weight should not increase, right? The power consumption should not increase. The dimension should not increase. So performance, you give me the performance. So there are several parameters for the performance. But what is that I am talking? Second is the accuracy. How accurate it is, right? Now today you buy any product, right? Any system, like no, for example, I said glucometer, blood glucose tester, blood pressure monitoring, COVID testing, or no, that urine testing. So many products are available. Now, what is the guarantee that they are 100% accurate? Right? You are wearing those watches. It gives you how many calories you have burned, what is? Can you give me guarantee? Can you rely on those products? The world's best heart surgeons also died with heart attacks, right? You know that, right? Even Kokila Ben Hospital. Kokila Ben Hospital was actually belongs to world's famous cardiologist surgeon. You know who is his name? Not Kokila Ben. Kokila Ben is अभी अंबानी ने खरीदा करके वो उनका मदर का नाम दिया. But before that, that belongs to a world's famous surgeon. Okay, I will give another hint. He has done a open heart surgery to Bala Saheb Thackeray. Open heart surgery has done to Bala Saheb Thackeray. You know him? No. He's a Maharashtrian. No. He died with heart attack. अभी 4 hints देने के बाद देता हूँ. अभी Google search मत कर. Okay. He was such a world finest surgeon in the world, right? And when he was driving, and it was when Shiv Sena was in ruling, when Bala Saheb's heart was operated by this doctor, so Bala Saheb ko acha laga, khush ho gaya, chalo. Then the BMC has allocated this space, Andheri space, to that doctor. Chalo, tum hospital banao idhar. There, it's like, you can say, gift, something like that. Land gift, matlab, so they have to pay money. It's not, they have allocated for that hospital. But the problem is, once he started constructing the hospital, the cost, huge. So for a doctor, it is beyond his capacity. Itna crores money investment. So he was in pressure. That was I heard about, like, usse nahi ho pa raha tha, complete kar. And whatever may be the reason, one day while he was driving, he got an heart attack while driving. So then somehow, I don't know, somewhere he went to some other hospital, but he was not saved. He died. And later on, the hospital was purchased by Ambani's, and that's how it has happened. Okay, such a world's famous, such a doctor also, he doesn't know that there is a possibility that he will get a heart attack. Understand? So when we are saying prediction, when we are saying, oh, I can wear a watch, it will detect, all bogus. Just something, no. So there is nothing, what I'm trying to say is that there is nothing like 100% accurate. There's nothing like that. अगर 100% accurate रहता था, फिर आज माइकल जैक्सन जिंदा रहना चाहिए था. He has invested billions of dollars for his health. He has employed so many doctors. He has also purchased some people who are willing to donate their organs for him. पहले से बुकिंग करके रखा है. जब मुझे ये जरूरत है, you will give, you will give, like that. He has invested. इतना सब secure करके रखा है. And his medicines and all highly, whatever. But he died in below 50. Unnatural death. Not even natural death. Even if you invest billions of dollars, people could not save him. That too unnatural death. Means when he died, in what stage he died? Is all his body ke andar sab, they're all collapsed. Now brittle ho chuka hai, I don't know. That we should study. It's a study case, actually. Understood? So when we are saying that, oh, we can predict, we can detect, we have AI, we have ML and all, everything has its own limitations. They perform within that limited available data space or algorithm or whatever. Okay. We have seen Russia's moon mission failed. 40 years back, it was successful. And after 40 years, it failed. So what does it mean? Something went wrong. Understood? So accuracy, I am talking about accuracy. Accuracy means what happens. Imagine 40 years back, which CPU was used by Russians? Today, which CPU is available in the market? How many times it is much powerful than 40 years back? 40 years back means even 4-bit CPU was not there. And today you have a 64-bit CPU with floating point arithmetic unit, that too in a mobile phone. Such a tiny system, battery operated. Still we have failed. Understood? So yes, so that's why I'm saying you have to keep it in mind, both performance as well as the accuracy. So you may type anything, right? Today you will practice, you type some numbers, but I would like to see what happens to that number inside the CPU. I would like to see that. Okay. So that's the meaning of data types. Okay. So though you are already using compilers in computer, right? That C++, Java. I am sure this is anybody. First, what anybody learns about the compilers is undoubtedly how to create a program, syntax. After that, very next lecture is about data types. What kind of data types a compiler supports. So similarly, I am saying when we today, this at least another 2-3 weeks, when we are practicing Arduino as a compiler, we are not, as I told you, we are not using Arduino as a boards. We are not using those Chinese boards. We are using our boards. But nothing wrong using the compiler, because compiler is free. Arduino compiler doesn't belong to Chinese. Please remember, Arduino compiler belongs to Italians. Italy. It belongs to Italy. Some Italian students have developed this compiler in some university, and slowly, so many people have contributed. Now it's a open source. Open source means it belongs to everybody. Like India is a open source. कोई भी आ सकता है. ऐसा. Migration is so easy. Yeah, कोई भी आ सकता है, जा सकता है. That's why India has a different philosophy. Let noble thoughts from any side. We welcome all religions, all ideas, all. इसलिए यहाँ इसलिए इतना gods भी we have thousands of gods, not one god नहीं है ना, इतने god है. गाँव हम पेड़ को भी god मानते, नदी को भी god मानते, environment को god मानते, सबको wherever we see, okay, some idea, पत्थर को भी god मान, चलो ये इधर god है, everything. Every village has a god. गांव का भी village god रहता है. If you go to villages, अपना हर गांव का एक god रहता है अपना. That's different philosophy. So it's a different. We have a different culture and different philosophy. That's why India को destroy करना इतना simple नहीं है. क्योंकि अगर एक god रहा, फिर उसको कुछ ये किया, फिर पूरा वो religion ही collapse हो जाएगा. यहाँ तो सबका किसका तो इसका अलग है, इसका अलग है, इसका अलग है, इसका किसका करेगा. So that's very different. It's an interesting thing. Sadhguru का कभी सुन लेना कि he talks about Indian, how this has evolved. Okay. So we are Arduino. So there are some compilers which are open source. Open source means वो किसी का belong नहीं करता है. No, anybody can use it freely. और आपको कोई फाइन नहीं करेगा. मतलब आप कितना भी कॉपीज कंप्यूटर पे डालो, nobody will fine you. अरे आप illegal as and nothing. So that is called general public license, GPL. So like Linux is a open source. Linux में कोई भी compilers when you use open source free, वैसे ही ये भी open source is a free. Okay. So that means anybody can contribute. मतलब world में कोई भी contribute करके उसको libraries आप attach कर सकते हैं. अभी for example Arduino compiler available है. आपने कुछ नया product बना, कुछ नया लाइब्रेरी बना, हम उसको पैच कर सकते हैं. दैट वी विल सी इन द ड्यू कोर्स. वी विल सी कि जो ऑलरेडी पैच जो फंक्शंस इसमें अवेलेबल नहीं है, वो हम लोग कोई भी सर्वर से डाउनलोड करके इसको पैच कर सकते हैं. ओके. सो दैट इज कॉल्ड ओपन सोर्स, अलाउइंग यू टू मॉडिफाई द ओरिजिनल कंपाइलर. कमर्शियल मीन्स व्हाट, जैसे .NET, विंडोज का जितना भी कंपाइलर्स है, वो कुछ भी मॉडिफाई करना है तो यू अप्रोच माइक्रोसॉफ्ट, देन दे विल चार्ज यू मनी लाइक दैट. इट्स अ कमर्शियल. या मैटलैब इज ए कमर्शियल. आपको कुछ भी टूल बॉक्स चाहिए, देन दे विल चार्ज यू सम मनी. इट्स अ लैक्स ह्यूज अमाउंट. बट मैटलैब का इक्विवेलेंट साइलैब भी इज देयर. इक्विवेलेंट है साइलैब, हम लोग भी यूज कर रहे हैं. तो साइलैब इज अगेन डेवलप्ड बाय सम फ्रेंच पीपल, but it's an open source. IIT Bombay has contributed immensely in Scilab. तो आप भी contribute कर सकते हैं. If you develop something, you can patch to Scilab. So that's the meaning of open source. So Arduino, we are looking as an open source perspective, not any Chinese or any other product. Okay? And it's not Chinese actually, it's Italian. So what I'm saying is now we will see data types. So today we will use Arduino as a compiler. We write some data types, and we'd like to see once we transfer that data type into the CPU, how it looks like. So what are the data types this Arduino is supporting? Boolean, byte, character, unsigned word, unsigned integer, long, float. So you should look for the two important parameters. One is how much space it is occupying, how much space it is occupying. Second is what is the range of the number. Space means for example, Boolean. Boolean means either 0 or 1. But this Arduino fellow is taking 1 byte for that, for storing the data. 1 byte. Similarly, byte is taking 8-bit. Range is 0 to 255. But if you say character, then it could be signed minus 127 to plus 128. If you say unsigned character, then it's a 0 to 255. That's a range. So this is amount of space it takes. For example, long. Long means 32-bit. So minus so and so to plus so and so. But if you say float, again 32-bit. But this is a fractional representation is there. Decimal is also there. Okay. So why it is important? Because when we write the programs, okay, and you write some mathematical expressions, you do multiplication, division, accumulation, subtraction, all so many things you do it, but you also should know what type of number you have defined. And let's say I have added something, whatever you add, but the moment when you say byte, you will get only 255. आपका रिजल्ट 250 के ऊपर चला गया, 300 हो गया, 400 हो गया, 500 हो गया, 1 लाख हो गया, बट व्हाट इट विल गिव यू 255 या 255 भी नहीं देगा, वो जीरो भी दे सकता है क्योंकि वो ओवरफ्लो हो गया. Understood? Why it is so important to remember which data type you have defined in the program? क्योंकि you perform addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, shifting, scaling, but then finally what it understands is what you have defined. इसके ऊपर वो होल्ड नहीं कर सकता है. इसके अभी आपने कैलकुलेटर ले लो, 1 डिवाइडेड बाय 3 ऐसा टाइप करो, आपको क्या मिलेगा? कुछ डॉट 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 कुछ मिलेगा, लेकिन कितना मिलेगा आपको? जितना बिट्स है, जितना स्पेस है, उतना ही मिलेगा आपको. ओके, मेरे पास 2 है तो 2 ही मिलेगा, 3 है तो 3 मिलेगा, आपके 100 है तो 100 भी मिलेगा. सो इट इज व्हाट इज हैपनिंग, इट इज राउंडिंग द नंबर. मतलब आपने जितना स्पेस दिया, आपको उतना ही उसमें अकोमोडेट करके आपको दे रहा है. ओके, आप व्हेन यू गो टू ए गोल्ड शॉप, राइट, व्हेन यू वांट टू बाय ए गोल्ड, वो जो वेइंग मशीन जो है, डू यू अंडरस्टैंड द इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ दैट वेइंग मशीन? जो आपका ग्रोसरी शॉप में जो वेइंग मशीन है, ठीक है, वो आप व्हेन यू मेजर समथिंग, नो, डू यू अंडरस्टैंड द इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ वेइंग मशीन? आपका ध्यान किस पे रहता है? आप ग्रोसरी शॉप में आपको राइस खरीदना है, चलो 2 kg राइस खरीदना है, आपका ध्यान वो फ्रैक्शन पे रहता है या एमएसबी में रहता है? एमएसबी में इंटरेस्ट है आपको, एलएसबी में इंटरेस्ट है? एमएसबी में ना. अगर वो चावल थोड़ा 2 ग्राम कम हो गया तो विल यू बॉदर? यू डोंट बॉदर. आप बोलता है थोड़ा डालो ना, बोलते हो तो वो ऐसे ही डाल देते हो, चलो ले लो खुश. वैसे ही वेजिटेबल्स भी आप खरीदते हो, वो तो वो वेइंग मशीन भी नहीं करता है, वो ऐसा ऐसा करता रहता है, फिर थोड़ा डालो, फिर चलो. बट आई एम सेइंग चलो आप गोल्ड शॉप में जाओ, ठीक है, इज इट ओके, फ्रैक्शन कुछ नहीं दिखाई देगा तो वही ग्रोसरीज वाला वेइंग मशीन उधर यूज किया तो चलेगा आपको? वो ऐसा ऐसा किया तो चलेगा आपको? नहीं चलेगा ना। सो आपको गोल्ड मेजर करते वक्त अगर वो डिस्प्ले यूनिट बाइट लिया तो चलेगा? नहीं चलेगा। इट विल शो ओनली फिर नो केजी, 2 kg, 3 kg ऐसे ही दिखा देगा। फ्रैक्शनल पार्ट ग्राम्स नहीं दिखा देगा, मिलीग्राम्स नहीं दिखा देगा। बट टुडे 1 ग्राम इज कितना है? गर्ल्स कैन टेल, नो आइडिया, ओनली मम्मी को मालूम। नो आइडिया। 50? नो, कॉस्ट 1 ग्राम का कॉस्ट कितना? 5 to 6,000 rupees. Is it? 1 gram is 5 to 6,000 rupees. तो what should be the accuracy of your weighing machine? जो भी वो डिस्प्ले यूनिट है, जो भी कन्वर्ट कर रहा है, वो कितना लेना चाहिए? आज हम लोग when we are calculating the merit, CET का मेरिट, फर्स्ट ईयर एडमिशन में, अभी आपने एडमिशन लिया, ठीक है, अगर मैं MSB लेता था तो सबका 99% है, तो सीट कैसा मिलेगा? फिर हम लोग फिर बाद में फ्रैक्शन के बाद फिर 2 डिजिट पकड़ा, 2 डिजिट पकड़ा तो भी उसमें भी 10 लोग आ रहे थे, फिर 3 पकड़ा, 4 पकड़ा, फाइनली हम लोग शायद 6 पकड़े थे, 6 to 8 पकड़े। 7 डिजिट पकड़ने के बाद थोड़ा डिफरेंस आ रहा था, लेकिन वो भी टाई हुआ था, 5-6 लोगों का टाई हो रहा था। फिर हमने क्या किया, फिर मैथ्स पकड़ो, फिर फिजिक्स पकड़ो, फिर केमिस्ट्री पकड़ो, वो भी टाई हो रहा था। फिर हमने 10th का पकड़ा, फिर 10th में वापस मैथ्स, फिजिक्स, केमिस्ट्री। मतलब हम लोग को फाइनली टाई सॉल्व करना है। 2 cannot be at same place, so we have to solve it. So फिर कितना फ्रैक्शन पकड़े ताकि वो, understood why numbers are so important? Because if you don't define properly in the program, right, and if the CPU is not supporting whatever, finally you are rounding. That means you are losing some information. आपको छोड़ दिया, आपने छोड़ दिया, मतलब हो सकता है जैसा मैं आपको बताया था, वो कोविड का वो ब्लड टेस्ट, यूरिन टेस्ट, वो सब फेल हो जा, मतलब वो प्रोडक्ट जो है वो अनेबल टू डिफरेंशिएट क्यों नहीं कर पा रहा है? क्योंकि वो इतना वो एक्यूरेट नहीं है, वो राउंडिंग कर रहा है कुछ, तो उसको फर्क मालूम नहीं पड़ रहा, ठीक है? Understood why electronic products or some of the product fails? Because they are unable to differentiate some situations. Okay, so that's why please remember, when we use the CPU and when we use the compiler, why data types are so important. And it is not necessary that one compiler to other compiler the data types is same. No, not necessary. Maybe in some other, after 1 or 2 months, I will teach you another language, embedded C. That time we'll use some other compiler, code vision compiler. You will find that there the data types are slightly different. Every CPU, every compiler has a different. So वो आपको quickly थोड़ा आपको go through करना पड़ेगा. What is the difference between one compiler to other compiler, one controller to other controller? So keep it in mind. Okay, so that's all from my side. I'm done for the day. Now we will practice. So what you should do is, first, since all of you have the CPUs are given to you, you have your computers, plug it to your computer. First, I will show you 1 or 2 programs, and then whatever is this slide is there. आप चाहे तो इसका फोटो ले लो आप, whatever is this slide, इस पे ये सारे डेटा टाइप्स जो है आपको मुझे प्रोग्राम में इंप्लीमेंट करके दिखाना पड़ेगा, राइट? यू विल बी शोइंग कि इंटीजर, डबल, फ्लोट, लॉन्ग, शॉर्ट, कैरेक्टर, अनसाइंड इंटीजर, अनसाइंड लॉन्ग, अनसाइंड कैरेक्टर, स्ट्रिंग, बाइट, वर्ड, बुलियन एंड सो ऑन। ये सारे आप प्रोग्राम में एक एक इंप्लीमेंट करके दिखाओ कि हाउ द नंबर लुक्स लाइक। नॉट ओनली इंप्लीमेंटेशन, इसको आप ओवरफ्लो और अंडरफ्लो करके देखो, फिर क्या होता है आप देख लो। मतलब फॉर एग्जाम्पल 255 है समझो, आप थोड़ा ज्यादा डिफाइन करो, 1000 डिफाइन करो और देखो उसको 1000 को 1000 लिया या वो खाली 255 दे रहा है, मतलब यू आर लास्ट समथिंग। आप अंडरस्टूड व्हाट इज हैपनिंग? तो वो आप थोड़ा वो भी करके आप देख लो कि किस फॉर्म पे वो नंबर को वो रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं। Got it? All of you, what you are supposed to do. So I will show you one program first. What is how to write a program? I will demonstrate those who are also online. What is that to write a program? And after that, you start doing. Okay, so what is the procedure? Whenever you plug it, right? I told you don't use the baseboard right now, and don't keep this on metal plates because this is a conducting pins. So don't keep it on metal plates. Keep it on a non-conducting, either wood or book, whatever, plastic. There you keep it. So once you plug it, your computer, what you should do is first you go to the device manager. If you see device manager, okay, if you expand the ports, it should show Silicon Labs CP210 USB to ART converter. Like long back, I told you that what we are doing is, since controllers doesn't have USB inbuilt, there is a IC bridge circuit which is converting USB to serial communication. So that bridge is there on this board. That's why the moment if you connect it, it is virtually connecting the serial port, virtual, not real. And that bridge is called this Silicon Lab CP210 USB to ART converter. If you have already installed the driver, then in the bracket it will give the number, some COM3, COM4, COM5, something. If you have not installed the driver, then this number won't come, or even the port, it doesn't appear. It will show you in some other devices में आ जाएगा उसका नाम, not in the ports. ये आपको solve करना पड़ेगा first. And if you disconnect this CPU, that will vanish. That confirms that your CPU is recognized by your operating system or not. Windows है, Linux है, whichever is the operating system, it supports both. Okay. If you are not installed the driver, how to install it? So first install the, I will show you. Okay, first what is that you are supposed to install is this Arduino compiler. 1.8.19 is what I am generally using. It's up to you, whichever you, latest is 2.1, some series is available. So first install the Arduino compiler, give permission to all, everything say yes, 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 nothing you need to worry about. Like आप mobile app करते हो ना, yes, 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 ऐसे ये भी आप yes, yes, yes कर, और कुछ नहीं. ये करने के बाद मैं आपको गूगल ड्राइव से एक ड्राइवर शेयर किया था CH341, इसको इंस्टॉल करना है. ये इंस्टॉल किया तो 99% आपको ये आ जाएगा, ये 99%. अगर नहीं हुआ तो उसी ड्राइवर पे मैंने और एक ड्राइवर दिया CP210 करके. कुछ कंप्यूटर्स पे ये नहीं चला था, वो चल रहा है CP210. सो इधर दिस और दैट, इफ यू गिव द पाथ, फिर ये तो आना ही चाहिए. अगर ये आया तो ही आप प्रोग्राम लिख सकते हो, अदरवाइज कोई पॉइंट नहीं. ओके, आई एज्यूम यू ऑल डन दैट. देन लेट्स सी हाउ टू राइट ए प्रोग्राम. Okay, so first is no, this is your Infinite, that Arduino symbol, open source compiler. See, this is your first screen. Once you get the first screen, all right, there is one more thing you have to do. This is you have installed the Arduino, but still this compiler doesn't support your CPU. By default, it supports only Atmel microcontrollers, not the other CPUs, right? So we have to do some patch. We have to add some patch. So that patch I have shared today. Even that PPT, my PPT I have shared to you. ठीक है, वो आपको if you right, ये PDF मैंने आपको मेल किया था व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में. राइट, इस पे आपको ये जो लास्ट पेज पे एक पाथ दिया है, दिस पाथ, राइट, पैकेज अंडरस्कोर ESP32 अंडरस्कोर इंडेक्स डॉट जेसन, ये पाथ, राइट, दिस पाथ यहाँ लिखा है, मैंने ऑलरेडी लिखा है, वेयर यू शुड पेस्ट, वो भी यहाँ लिखा है, यू शुड पेस्ट इट इन गो टू फाइल एंड इन प्रेफरेंसेस, राइट, इन प्रेफरेंसेस जहां ये एडिशनल बोर्ड URL है, यहां आपको वो पाथ पेस्ट करना है. अंडरस्टूड ऑल ऑफ यू? हाउ टू कॉन्फ़िगर योर आर्डिनो कंपाइलर. ये हो गया सेकंड स्टेप. पहला आपको ड्राइवर इंस्टॉल करना है, मेक श्योर दैट कॉम पोर्ट नंबर इट इज शोइंग. सेकंड, इंस्टॉल द आर्डिनो कंपाइलर. थर्ड इज ये पाथ मैंने आपको जो PPT में दिया वो पाथ आप डाल. देन यू से ओके, ये ओके करके आ जाओ, बट फिर भी हुआ नहीं. उसके बाद आपको क्या करना है, गो टू टूल्स, टूल्स पे देयर यू गो टू बोर्ड मैनेजर. ओके, मेक श्योर योर लैपटॉप और कंप्यूटर इज कनेक्टेड ऑन द इंटरनेट, अदरवाइज ये नहीं होगा, फिर इंस्टॉलेशन नहीं होगा. देन अगेन यू आर हैंडिकैप्ड, इट वोंट वर्क फॉर योर CPU. So if it is connected on the internet, तो इधर प्रोग्रेस दिखाएगा आपको कि नेट से कनेक्टेड है करके, वो भी आपको मालूम पड़े. सो यहाँ आपको टाइप करना है ESP32. ये आप 32 ESP32 टाइप करो अगर वो इंस्टॉलेशन नहीं है तो. देन आपको ये आ जाएगा यहाँ एक राइट, ESP32 बाय डेवलपमेंट बोर्ड, राइट. ये आपका केस में मेक श्योर इंस्टॉल्ड है या नहीं है, नहीं है तो आपको इंस्टॉल करना पड़ेगा. इफ यू कंप्लीट दिस इंस्टॉलेशन, ओके, देन गो टू टूल्स, देन बोर्ड में, राइट, आपका वो CPU सेलेक्ट करो, जो CPU अभी आज आप सबको मैंने इश्यू करके दिया था, दैट इज यू सी do it ESP32 डेवलपमेंट किट V1, ये आपको सेलेक्ट करना है, जो मैं मैनुअल पे भी वही लिखा था. ओके, ऑल ऑफ यू डन. ये मैं अभी बार बार एक्सप्लेन नहीं करूंगा, एटलीस्ट अनदर 3-4 वीक्स एज लॉन्ग. ऑफ कोर्स ये तो आपका प्रॉपर्टी है, जब जिंदगी भर आपको यही करना है, जिंदगी भर मतलब जब तक आप ये यूज करना है. ठीक है, इट्स ए इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग. ओके, सो मेक श्योर आपका ये जो कॉर्नर बॉटम ऑफ द स्क्रीन, ये कॉर्नर पे ये आना चाहिए. दिस इंडिकेट्स आपने बराबर आपका कंपाइलर को कॉन्फ़िगर किया या नहीं किया. तो मतलब यहाँ आना चाहिए, डू इट ESP32 डेवलपमेंट किट 80 मेगाहर्ट्ज सो एंड सो स्पीड, COM3 पोर्ट भी नंबर देता है, वो आपने जो डिवाइस मैनेजर पे जो मेंशन किया वो यहाँ आना चाहिए. ये अभी मैं बार बार नहीं बताऊंगा, ये आपको बाय डिफॉल्ट, ये गलती आपको कभी नहीं करना चाहिए. डिवाइस मैनेजर पे इंस्टॉल किया, डिवाइस ड्राइवर इंस्टॉल किया, कंपाइलर इंस्टॉल किया, कंपाइलर को कॉन्फ़िगर किया फॉर दिस स्पेसिफिक CPU. आगे चल के फ्यूचर में और कोई CPU आप सेलेक्ट करते, प्रोसीजर यही है, उसको वापस वो बोर्ड मैनेजर को इंस्टॉल करो, वो कॉन्फ़िगर करो, यहां आना चाहिए. ओके, इज इट क्लियर? Agreed. So that means now we are ready to write a program for ESP32. मीन्स आर्डिनो पे कंपाइलर आर्डिनो है, डेटा टाइप्स वही है, खाली अपना CPU थोड़ा ये इसलिए सेलेक्ट किया था क्योंकि हमको वाईफाई चाहिए इस ये कुछ आपका IoT प्रैक्टिकल. अदरवाइज आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट ओनली दिस वी शुड यूज, देयर आर सो मेनी CPUs आउट देयर. ओनली फॉर वाईफाई पर्सपेक्टिव वी थॉट ठीक है, लेट अस यूज दिस. ओके, डन. व्हाट इज द फर्स्ट प्रोग्राम? हाउ टू राइट a program is go to file and simply say new. Okay, when you say new, whenever you say new, a sketch is created. The sketch is nothing but two loops. That's all. It creates a two loops. One is void setup, other is called while loop. As simple as that. One is executed only once, one is executed infinite number of times. अगर आपको डाउट है कि भाई ये सीपीयू के लिए लिखा है वगैरह वगैरह, तो एक बार उसको इसी प्रोग्राम को कंपाइल करके देखो. जस्ट दिस इज कंपाइलिंग एंड दिस इज अपलोडिंग. पहले आप कंपाइल करके देखो, अपलोड मत करो क्योंकि इससे कुछ रिजल्ट तो आने वाला नहीं, इसमें तो कुछ लिखा ही नहीं. तो खाली कंपाइल करके देखो. आपको डाउट है कि चल रहा है कि नहीं आपका कंपाइलर और ये बोर्ड भी बराबर सेलेक्ट हुआ कि नहीं, डाउट है तो खाली कंपाइल करो. तो इधर कुछ एरर्स नहीं आना चाहिए. मतलब अगर आपका पैकेज जो है प्रॉपरली इंस्टॉल्ड हुआ कि नहीं कंफर्म करने के लिए. Go to file, preferences.
No, sir. For downloading the description of description.
अच्छा, लिंक बोल रहे हैं. वो आपको जो मेल किया था वो लास्ट पेज पे, पेज नंबर 20 पे. यहां देखो, ये लास्ट स्लाइड मैं सुबह वापस पोस्ट किया था ना वो सब. First file compilation takes some time. उसको पासवर्ड नहीं है मेरे ना. विंडोज लिनक्स में क्यों चला गया? विंडोज में जो रीबूट करो. इसने डाला है पासवर्ड. पासवर्ड तो रहता नहीं है. रीबूट करके फिर भी पूछ रहे. SPIT 123 है. हाँ, SPIT 123 चलता है. Okay, so see, done compiling. Done compiling means now my compiler is working and my that ESP32 board is perfect. तो कोई error नहीं है. तो फर्स्ट प्रोग्राम एवरी जो पूरा वर्ल्ड यही लिखता है, पहला प्रोग्राम एलईडी को ऑन करके देखने का. हाउ टू स्विच ऑन एलईडी. तो एक प्रोग्राम आपको कैसा करने का? गो टू फाइल, गो टू एग्जाम्पल्स. Right, all of you open this, open examples. Uspe there is a program in basics. In basics there is a program called Blink. Okay, Blink. You select this program, नया विंडो ओपन हो जाएगा. इस पे मैं ऑल जो कमेंट्स जो है वो डिलीट करता हूं. तो अगर आपको समझ में आ गया कि एक्चुअल प्रोग्राम कितना छोटा है. दिस इज द प्रोग्राम जो मैं आपको अभी अभी एक्सप्लेन किया था. टू हाउ टू स्विच ऑन एलईडी. तो स्विच ऑन एलईडी फर्स्ट आपको कॉन्फ़िगर करना पड़ता है. और वो एलईडी का नाम जो है एलईडी बिल्ट इन. एलईडी बिल्ट इन मीन्स इस पे ऑलरेडी एक बिल्ट इन एलईडी है इस बोर्ड, इसी के ऊपर सीपीयू पीसीबी के ऊपर एक एलईडी है. दैट उसका नाम है एलईडी बिल्ट इन. उसको हमने कॉन्फ़िगर किया आउटपुट, बिकॉज एलईडी इज आउटपुट. फिर इनफाइनाइट लूप में हमने क्या लिखा है? डिजिटल राइट मीन्स एज आई सेड कि वी वांट टू राइट द डेटा. किसको राइट करना है? एलईडी बिल्ट इन को. कौन सा वैल्यू राइट करना है? हाई. देन डिले बिकॉज वी वांट टू पुट वेट फॉर सम टाइम ऑन टाइम. फिर एलईडी बिल्ट इन को लो करना है, फिर डिले. अंडरस्टूड दिस प्रोग्राम? एनी डाउट्स? ओके, ऑन ऑफ. 1000 मीन्स व्हाट इज 1000? 1000 इज मिली सेकेंड्स. जो ब्रैकेट में जो भी नंबर लिखोगे that is in terms of millisecond. 1000 means 1 second. Okay, all of you with me? Okay, now download करके देखो इस प्रोग्राम को and see on your PCB वो LED blink हो रहा है कि ब्लू कलर LED हो रहा है ना. वेरी गुड.
वो अपलोड करने के लिए बटन दबाना पड़ता है.
हाँ, कभी कभी वो ये पूछता है, वो बूट करके इसमें बूट बटन है, उसको दबाए तो sometimes some manufacturers are asking to press the boot button. तब वो डाउनलोड है कोड. Okay, now you can see the program is downloaded, LED is blinking. Okay, now अगर आपको अभी now इसको 2-3 modifications करके देखो, अभी 1000 को आप उसको 10 करके देखो, दोनों जगह 10 करके देखो, compile and download and see what is the effect on your LED. इसको 1000 का जगह इसको make it 10. Okay, and see if you download what happens. Okay, can you see that LED blinking? Yeah, हमेशा ऑन ही दिख रहा है आपको, ऑन दिख रहा है, मतलब 10 मिली सेकेंड आपका आई जो है वो डिफरेंशिएट नहीं कर पा रहा. तो अभी इसको 100 करके देखो, डिफरेंस मालूम पड़ता है कि
Sir, actually the driver has installed us, so we have to read.
Okay, now it is slightly faster as compared to 1000 से ये faster है. Okay, now इसको इस प्रोग्राम को मैं और सिंप्लीफाई करता हूँ कि I don't use even delay. Okay, only if you say high, तो LED ऑन होना चाहिए, ऑफ होना चाहिए, करके देखो.
Sir, driver has been installed, but it is showing in other devices.
हाँ, वो नहीं हुआ ना CH340 का. आप Cardinal compiler is installed. हाँ,
Yes, that is installed, but जो इसका configure आप दिखा रहे थे ना, वो ports में था.
हाँ,
मुझे
अदर में आए ना. अभी आपको वो ये नहीं चल रहा है, आप उसको राइट क्लिक करके CP210 जो और एक दिया मैं आपको, उसको अनजिप करो और उसका पाथ दे दो. Some laptops is not, this is not working. Okay, so now see, when I say high, LED is on, permanently on. If I say instead of this built-in LED, इसका कुछ नाम देता हूं मैं D0. Okay, and instead of high, अब इस बार उल्टा कर देते हैं, लो कर देते हैं. So D0 is not declared in the scope. Okay, so it is not recognized. Okay, is it clear, all of you? Just to how to use inbuilt LED, which is connected.
Sir, can you please tell how to use आपने क्या बोला, अगर वो नहीं चल रहा है तो कैसे करना होगा?
CP210 मैं आपको वो ड्राइव में और एक ये दिया था ना।
सर एक ही है।
नो नो ड्राइव एक और दिया था उसी उसी गूगल इस पे आपको ये जो CP210 यूनिवर्सल विंडोज ड्राइवर जो है गूगल ड्राइव पे है, उसी ड्राइव पे वो ग्रीन किट्स का इस पे इसको डाउनलोड करो और अनजिप करो इसको। अनजिप करके पाथ देना है आपको, राइट क्लिक करके पाथ देना है। इसमें इंस्टॉलेबल कुछ नहीं, खाली पाथ देना है, इससे हो जाता है।
Sir, error आ रहा है, the chip needs to be in download mode.
बूट प्रेस किया, बूट स्विच प्रेस किया, डाउनलोड करते वक्त ये यहाँ का बूट जो है ना वो प्रेस करना पड़ता है, तब वो वाइल डाउनलोडिंग, जब वो डाउनलोडिंग शुरू हो जाता है दैट टाइम यू प्रेस द बूट, देन इट विल डाउनलोड।
Sir, that file is not available on the bank.
सी
CH4 वाला।
मैं आपको ये गूगल ड्राइव पे ये गूगल ड्राइव शेयर किया था ना आप सब लोगों को, राइट? डिड आई शेयर दिस माय ड्राइव?
सॉफ्टवेयर
नो आपको नहीं, वो नहीं, एक बार गो ग्रीन किड्स का
नहीं सर,
ये नहीं किया आपको, SBC शेयर किया आपको। नहीं, क्या था उसका नाम? SBC सिंगल बोर्ड कंप्यूटर, राइट? ये शेयर किया था आपको, राइट? ओके, इस पे मैं अपलोड करता हूँ। ठीक है, मैं अभी अपलोड कर रहा हूँ, देख लो। ओके, अभी अपलोड किए केशव, अपलोडेड। Okay, anyhow, so I will demonstrate one more program. After that, I will stop my sharing the screen. Okay, the next example program before you use the data types is go to file, इस पे examples पे go to communication. In communication, there is a graph. Okay, use graph. In this example, okay, देर इज अभी अभी मैं आपको जो एक्सप्लेन किया था वही है, हाउ टू यूज द सीरियल कम्युनिकेशन। ओके, जस्ट 2 लाइन्स ऑफ कोड। सीरियल बिगिन 9600 बिट्स पर सेकेंड, सीरियल प्रिंट लाइन। एक्चुअली ये ब्रैकेट में जो लिखा है वो एनालॉग रीड A0 मीन्स देर इज ए पिन, एनालॉग पिन, एंड इट इज रीडिंग दैट पर्टिकुलर पिन। मीन्स वहां का ये जो पिन जो है उस पिन के ऊपर जो भी वोल्टेज है दैट इज रीडिंग। तो ये आप डाउनलोड करके देखो एंड सी व्हाट हैपेंस। हो गया आपका, डाउनलोड हो गया, बूट प्रेस करना। अभी ना सिंगल बोर्ड कंप्यूटर आपने जो बताया था वो यही है ना सिंगल बोर्ड कंप्यूटर, ये भी नहीं है।
SBC SBC कोडिंग करते हैं।
और कौन सा शेयर किया आप लोगों को?
सर ग्रुप के डिस्क्रिप्शन पे,
हाँ
सर ग्रुप के डिस्क्रिप्शन पे हाँ सर वो
ठीक है, अपलोड किया।
सर ये यूनिवर्सल अलग है।
ये CP210 यूनिवर्सल विंडोज, उसको अनजिप करके राइट क्लिक करके पाथ देना। Okay, so done uploading. So what is this stdio? For me, this is stdio.h for me. Okay, serial print, serially it is printing something. What is printing? Some pin value, analog pin value it is printing. So but where to see the results? Because आपका सारे data types आपको देखना है, तो आपको you should know where to see the results. So go to tools, here serial monitor. If you see serial monitor, अभी right now it is displaying some number 00. If I touch the pin, देखो अभी number कैसा change हो रहा है. If I touch that analog pin, okay, change हो रहा है कि नहीं? 2 to the power of ये 14 है, इसलिए 4096 तक जाता है. So understood how to display the data on computer monitor by using serial print line. और इसको आपको ग्राफिकली देखना है तो सीरियल प्लॉटर. ओके, सीरियल प्लॉटर. अभी देखो, अभी इफ आई टच दिस पिन, इट इज डिस्प्लेइंग द डेटा ग्राफिकली. आपको ग्राफिकली देखना है तो बट रिमेंबर ऑलवेज द बर्ड रेट. ये बर्ड रेट और ये बर्ड रेट दोनों सेम रहना चाहिए. अगर इसमें मैं आई विल शो फॉर एग्जांपल सीरियल मॉनिटर, अभी ये कुछ तो नंबर्स डिस्प्ले कर रहे हैं. ये अगर बर्ड रेट में अगर सेम नहीं रखा, नहीं तो 600 के जगह कुछ अलग वैल्यू रखा, देन इट विल बिकम ए गार्बेज. So the transmitter speed and receiver speed should be same in both the cases. Microcontroller is transmitting with 9600. So similarly here also you should use the 9600. Then you will get the actual number. Okay, understood? You cannot select whatever is the baud rate you want. In the program also, why 9600 only? क्योंकि यहाँ जो यूनिट है आपको वही लेना पड़ेगा. मतलब जो कंप्यूटर आपको सपोर्ट कर रहा है वही. अभी फॉर एग्जांपल 9600 की जगह मैं 4800 ले रहा हूँ. अभी ये गार्बेज है, ठीक है, मैं इसका स्पीड चेंज करता हूँ, अभी 4800 करता हूँ. ओके, नाउ इफ आई डाउनलोड दिस कोड, it will transmit with 4800 bits per second. ओके, टूल्स सीरियल मॉनिटर, सी अभी ये 4800 पे चल रहा है. सो दोनों का स्पीड हमेशा सेम रहना चाहिए. अंडरस्टूड? ओके, नाउ इंस्टेड ऑफ नंबर्स, अगर मुझे अभी इस पे कुछ टेक्स्ट डिस्प्ले करना है, ओके, हेलो डिस्प्ले करना है, ठीक है. That means now I am not reading any analog pin, some string I want to display. Similarly, अभी आपको all data types display करके देखना है. So how to do that? तो ऐसे ही आपको bracket में whichever is the data type you specify, it will display. Okay, so tools, serial monitor. Now you see hello is displayed. Okay. So what is the next lesson? Understood all of you how to use the serial port, how to display the data on serial monitor with a specified baud rate. Now अभी आपको सब लोगों को करना है ये असाइनमेंट. इस पे जो दे रखा है आपको, you are supposed to use all these data types. आप कंप्यूटर स्क्रीन के ऊपर डिस्प्ले करके दिखाओ मुझे. Okay, so you are saying print अभी हर एक ये चेंज करो और डिफरेंट डेटा टाइप्स डिस्प्ले करके देखो एवरी टाइम. ओके, और ये वैल्यू भी चेंज करके देख लो, बड़ा दे दो छोटा दे दो, फिर क्या फर्क पड़ता है. ट्राई टू इंटरप्रेट जो मैं आपको प्रेजेंटेशन में डेटा टाइप्स दिया और यहाँ हमें फर्क क्या है. हाँ? आपको लिखना है अभी, आपको यू राइट ए प्रोग्राम. ये तो ग्लोबल वेरिएबल्स है ना. Okay, understood what you are supposed to do. So like that, I mean, those who are online now, I think I will stop because I don't know whether you are practicing or not. Those who are offline here, so they will be practicing all data types, and not only that, after that, okay, various operators as well as mathematical operators like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and other special functions like modulus, increment, decrement, logical NAND, NOT, OR, and bitwise left shift, right shift. What happens if you use these data types in the program? How your Arduino compiler converts into its equivalent numbering system, and if you display it on screen, how it will appear. So another 2 hours they will be practicing this. If you are doing online, well and good, you also can try yourself. So I think better I will stop recording. So those who are doing online, maybe you can practice yourself.